Welcome back to Tales of Two Bros. I am Angel, and once again, we have Kimberly joining
Hi.
us. This is our review of Top Gun Maverick.
Highway to the Fear Zone.
Spoilers, Top Gun Maverick just came out Memorial Day weekend. And on our previous review, we looked at the original Top Gun that came out in 1986. Our review, I would say, wasn't so
Favorable?
well, yeah, but
A few moments later.
based off our review of the original Top Gun, one may think that a sequel was not needed. Fair enough?
I guess it depends on how you look at it.
True. And the way I looked at it, it was had some cool moments. Just like as if you were a kid, or like we said, if you were gay, or you were, you know, found these guys as teen heartthrobs. Val Kilmer, Tom Cruise, and I had to say, I am pleasantly surprised, or I'm pleasantly surprised of what they did in this sequel.
I
Okay.
would agree with that.
This is or the franchise is now as a franchise, since they had two movies. Now they have some video games, another video game coming out in light of this movie. This is their Empire Strikes Back.
Okay.
Whereas a lot of people find Empire Strikes Back far superior film than A New Hope. This is leaps and bounds better than the original. Granted, now, and after we saw it, and I did say to you, in the sense of what they were saying and how they were talking to each other, you couldn't help but couldn't help but think of Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, you brought that up several times through the movie, like certain comments or certain sayings.
Well, the being is that you don't think, you feel, you just do. Trust in your gut, trust in your feelings.
Yeah.
And that was happening. That's how Maverick flew. He followed the rules. Like in the Jedi, you're trained, and then you use it to your will.
I don't necessarily think that he followed the rules. I think he bended the rules to fit what he felt was needed.
You can't break it just for the sake of breaking. You got to know something first. You got to know what is entailed or what
Or
is
to get the
protocol.
end result.
Yes. And then I think I did mention to you that in the beginning of the story, for those who have not seen it, it takes place several years later. And I would say 20, even though it's 36 years later, but the age gap of the actors and who are playing the next generation,
Mhm.
you can see about 20 years, maybe 25, because 36 years will be that's way too long. Granted, now also this movie was shot and filmed and done like right, I believe at the beginning of COVID, it was finishing.
Oh, okay.
So it was like 2 years later. I could be wrong. We are back with Maverick, and he's pretty much Hal Jordan for those who are in the DC comics, the Green Lantern. The Green Lantern is a test pilot, and this is what Maverick now, he's a test pilot. At the end of the original, it showed that he was going to be a instructor for Top Gun. Here, he's not an instructor. And then he's pulled back in like Godfather Part 3.
Well, I think it was more like it was his last resort. He really didn't have a choice because he basically used all of his free pass cards.
He was about to get fired because he pushed the limit of that last fighter jet or stealth jet.
Well, and honestly, he felt like he needed to because if he didn't, the whole program was basically going to be shut down. They were going to it was on the verge of being dismantled.
Right.
And he did not want that to happen. He wanted to make sure that the program
Well,
continued.
the day of that testing, they were going to try to Mach 9.
Oh, I
The
thought it was 10.
no, it was originally 9,
Okay. But then
but
he pushed it to
no, no,
10.
no, he didn't push it to 10. The general, played by Ed Harris, he wanted 10.
Oh.
So he was jumping the gun, he wanted them to fail.
Mhm.
That's what it was. He was trying to make them fail anyway. Maverick said, let's go for 10. And then they got 10, but his ego, again, his hunger,
Mhm.
his adrenaline rush, wanted to see even further.
To go to 3,
3.
10.3 or something
No,
like
no,
that.
he was told, hit 10, don't do 10.1,
Well, yeah,
point 2,
10.1.
0.3. So the thing is, after 10, he was supposed to stop.
Yeah.
He said, let's see what you got. It was
And it
over
went
pushed and then it crashed. Before we go more into it, I have to say, like, again, this movie is light years better than the original. There's humor here. There's drama. There's emotion. There's a story that is sensible. In the
Mhm.
first Top Gun is who's the better quarterback, like I said before. And here is not. It's more about surviving. It's about having a successful mission without any casualties. That's the purpose why he's brought back to run a successful mission. Now, granted, the mission director or the commanding officer, again, I apologize because I don't know the military lingo. He didn't care about survival.
He just wanted the mission completed.
But not that the mission
Even
completed, but
even
he acted.
if there were casualties, so be it.
That's not the point, though. The point is that he acted like a person, like a regular person, like a suit who has never had any military experience, even though he is military. He didn't care about the pilots, just like a suit, a politician
Yeah.
doesn't care.
He was more
He
of the
was
orders guy.
that's what he was representing, that kind of perspective,
And
which is kind of
he
arrogant in the sense that he is military. He's
yeah.
supposed to be a pilot.
Well, he made it clear that he didn't care for Maverick. He even said it to his face.
Of
I don't
course, he had no
know
respect for him, even
that he
though
wasn't that Maverick wasn't his choice.
that guy who's played by John Hamm, he represents those people who have never been in a fight, who's never bled, and disrespect for a person who has gone through hell and back
Yeah.
several times. Again, it's like that sports fan that tells an athlete
Yeah.
what to do or how it should be
He's just
played.
there to give orders.
Right. And then with the disrespect attitude. And that's pretty good about John Hamm, I like John Hamm as an actor. The way he portrayed his role made me dislike him. And that's a good job. No, because I wanted to shut up. I wanted Maverick to tell him off so bad. He never got the opportunity. Yet
Yeah,
he did it
but
through
he kinda
action.
redeemed himself a little bit in the end,
No, I
I felt.
understand, but I just wanted that little moment in a sense, like just let Maverick get loose in that way, but he was always following orders. The emotional part was great. I like that he still carried the guilt of Goose passing away from that
Yeah.
accident, even though it's not his fault. That was a motivation that he had, or was one of his motivators in the film, in that he was looking over Goose's son, or you can call it, like, his godson, or
Well, I think it was more of like he even though he wasn't responsible for his death, he felt like he still was responsible for the upbringing, the caring, or, of
well,
the
he
son.
said he wanted to be a dad to
Yeah.
him. Personally, I don't see Maverick guilty of Goose dying, because even though he does, that's fine. That's the motivation. I mean, I find Iceman is the one guilty due to his selfishness and trying to be Top Gun
Mhm.
during the drill. So I did like that. I like how that still carried in. Being a sequel, you didn't really need to
But
watch
it paid
the
hom
original.
but it paid homage in certain respects to the
Of course.
original.
No, of course. Yeah, yes, but what I'm saying, like, you can watch this movie
Yeah,
and
yeah.
not really know what happened in Top Gun
And
because
that's
they
what a lot of
explained it.
people are stating is the fact that there isn't a disconnect, or there isn't where people felt like they needed to know what happened in the original to understand
Hmm.
this one.
In the beginning of the film, I turned to you. Or were you watching the original?
You mean the beginning?
In the beginning,
Yeah,
because it started out exactly
yeah.
like the original. And I thought, like, the film guy, the projector guy was
Mhm,
messing with us, because the same song came on originally of the theme,
mhm,
Top Gun theme, but then Kenny Loggins' iconic
mhm.
Danger Zone song came out. Then the titles came out and it said 1969. It was the year when
Yep.
the naval fleet developed
Yep.
program, blah blah blah. But then it changed a little bit.
They did that on purpose.
When I saw that, I was kind of apprehensive because I was like, "Oh, they're just gonna rehash or redo Top Gun," and I'm glad. Oh, I'm glad that they didn't do that. New crew, the next generation, awesome. Everyone's there except for you. Thought one character was not needed. I believe you said that.
What character was that?
Penny.
Oh, yeah, 'cause well, I didn't quite get the connection until after I did some research and everything, but she had a role, but it was more of she was brought up in the original movie. Her character, I guess they brought her back here even though there wasn't an actual person playing her in the original.
Who is she?
Jennifer Connelly?
Her character, yes.
Her character was the admiral's daughter that supposedly Tom Cruise hooked up with and got in trouble and got caught.
The Admiral Tom Skerritt's character.
I don't know if it's Tom Skerritt's daughter, but it's the admiral's daughter.
Right, because in the original, when you go look up the movie in IMDb, their character is named by their call sign. And here you have a
Yeah.
mixture of call signs and regular names.
But it's like there was a love interest in the original
Mhm.
Top Gun, so obviously there would be a love interest in this one.
Well, not necessarily so because it's
But that was a
There-
big chunk of what
right.
the original movie
But the
had.
original was a new relationship,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
this one was more, it was a rekindling.
But I didn't know that until afterwards.
No, they talked about that. They had a relationship before.
Yeah, but I didn't know the connection.
Oh, well, that doesn't really matter. We understand that he had multiple, they went through that he had
Oh,
multiple
yeah.
relationships.
Yeah.
And even in the first one and on this one. And I can understand why, like, he didn't have a relationship or a serious relationship like his friend Goose did
Yeah.
and others, is because the job he was doing, he didn't want to have that. He didn't want that to be a distraction from him doing his job or have the stress or burden fall onto
Mhm.
his loved ones. But here we see him that he's maturing in a way that he doesn't want to play around or play the field.
He sees the idea of settling with her that,
Mhm.
obviously he's getting older, obviously, his time of flying, fighter jets and all that is very limited. He's at the end of his career. He's like he doesn't have really anything emotionally to show for it in the sense of any relationship. So yeah, so he sees Jennifer Connelly as someone that he could finalize that part.
This is a better story than the original.
Yes, it is.
Again, I brought it up and I just got to say it again because after watching Top Gun again recently, highly disappointed in the sense of how basic it was. And in this one, there's multiple layers going on. Again, you have Tom Cruise still dealing with the passing of Goose and still feeling that it's his fault. Then you have Goose's son, Rooster, is trying to make a name for himself or be out of his father's shadow, just like how Maverick was trying to be out of his father's shadow in the original, and has this animosity towards Maverick because we find out that Maverick cost him a few years, which is vital. Those years were vital, but showing that there was a reason behind it, and it held true. That dynamic was very good, different than it was with Maverick and Iceman in the original. And the dynamic here was a lot more on the line, and a lot more emotional
Mhm.
and relatable. Speaking of Iceman, we do have an appearance from Val Kilmer. You may not know that Val Kilmer was diagnosed with throat cancer, which took him back from acting a long time ago, a few years. I don't remember exactly when he was diagnosed. And they played that into this movie, and I think they did a great job on how they did that.
Yeah.
They didn't say he had throat cancer, but he had cancer, and he was terminally ill, and it was not looking good. The way he communicated through the computer was very touching, especially that we know what Val is going through in his real life. And then he starts to speak. That was also gut wrenching. Also humorous at the end.
That was part of the dynamic between their relationship because in the original one, they had a very back and forth type relationship
Right.
and they battled with each other, but they battled in a way that was very like with eye contact and some little banter here and there. But
Mhm.
you knew that there was tension between them and it almost kind of made you
Well,
feel a little uncomfortable,
right.
but in the end,
They became friends. They
yeah.
became like the best of friends, if you will. Obviously, there's tons of respect for one another through the years, through their missions that
Mhm.
they
And he
had.
was the one that actually got him
Right,
to where he's at now.
right. And also, besides Iceman, we did see some things that was similar but different. But we you can recognize it. And one of them was the football game, very reminiscent of
The volleyball
the
scene,
volleyball scene.
but
But
not.
this was explained why they were playing.
Yeah.
You said in the original that it was done to for team building and
No, no, no,
that.
no, 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 no. The original was done to for Maverick and Goose and Iceman and his partner to settle their differences. This one in Maverick, it was for team building.
But what the thing is, they explained it where in the original there was no explanation. All you see was
Mhm.
competition, competition,
Yeah,
competition.
yeah,
There was gonna be no squash
yeah.
because if they beat them in volleyball, then there'll be another game that had to play. But also, what I like too is like during the middle of the game, Maverick pulls out again. He
Mhm.
pulled out in the middle of the volleyball game, and he pulled out in the middle of that football game. Find that kind of humorous. And then the way they played the football too was good because I was getting confused. Like, wait a minute, they're both playing at the same time, and there
Yeah.
was a reasoning for that, and I did like that reasoning
And
in a
he
sense.
explained that
Right,
also
offense, defense simultaneously, just like in a wood in a dogfight.
scenario.
John Hamm's character didn't get it.
Well,
Yeah,
because he came out there and he didn't understand what was going on and he was like, why are you guys out on
he
the
was just
beach playing football? You guys are supposed to be, training.
he's a
This is not part of training."
right. He was just a typical pencil pusher.
Yeah.
Do you have a scene that you enjoyed most?
The end scene where they're actually
Credits?
no, or we're towards the end where they're finally doing the mission. That was a good scene because it was showing them how they were going through what they're supposed to go through and the different things that they didn't expect to happened, but they were still able to get to the end result. But the end result kind of changed a little bit.
Huh? You just said something, a whole lot of things without really telling us anything.
Well, yeah, because I don't want to spoil it.
We said spoilers.
Oh.
The movie's been out for, by the time
Yeah.
this recording, it's been
Okay,
out for a
so
week.
they're okay, well, then you explain it then.
I agree with you. That's one of my favorite scenes as well. Like in the original, the best scene was the last scene where they were in combat. I had to say that is actually difficult to really pick out. I do like the final, but the training sequences, that was great. It made you feel like you were in a cockpit with the pilots. The drills, the flying was very intense that you got an adrenaline rush just by sitting in your own seat. Unlike the first one, like I said before, this training that they're going through is not to be the top person, not to be Top Gun, but to have a successful mission. So everything they do is dire and it's questioned, which was
Mhm.
awesome because it's like, why? Why'd you do that? And then they
And it
answer
yeah.
and says, well, fine, then explain that to his family or explain that to her family because you did that. This is the reason why you're dead. They made it more realistic to me and it hit a little hard, which is good because you want to understand better than just a shoot 'em up or just jets flying around. But I do like the last one. You're rooting for them to succeed
Yeah.
because all the drama and mistakes they were having, you want them to succeed. Midway through, it becomes, I would not say comedic, but there are some funny parts there.
Yeah.
And their humor, it breaks from that tension, that buildup, because, like you said, that one crash and now they're trying to survive and they find another
Mhm.
jet and they're trying to escape behind enemy lines.
Well, yeah,
Was
because
there was
you're on the edge of your seat, and then all of a sudden there's a comedic part, and so that kind of brings you back.
Well, not just that, it was like you thought when they were able when you thought when they successfully well, when they completed the mission
Mhm.
and they're about to escape from the enemy in their dogfight, but it just happens that it doesn't. Like, man, okay, there's more to it. It's like, wow,
Yeah,
okay.
it wasn't predictable. Like a lot of movies that we've seen lately have become very predictable.
Especially, yeah, especially if they're a sequel too. And
Yeah.
especially a sequel that's been from the original, like this one, over 30 years.
Mhm.
Sometimes they just rehash almost everything. And they didn't hear it, and I like that. Now
Mhm.
I do have some
Issues?
it's actually opposite, opposite of the issue I had with the first one.
Okay.
There was hardly any sweating here.
Oh my god.
No, no, meaning that, okay, so Maverick's plane goes down and he's trying to avoid to get shot. Then he finds out that he gets rescued by Rooster or saved,
Mhm.
but Rooster gets shot down.
Mhm.
And so Maverick starts running where the crash site is.
Mhm.
All that running, and it's not like a 2 minute thing. That plane crashed several miles away.
Mhm.
He shows up, dry as it can be, with all that gear, with the helmet on. You'll be sweating like a pig once you get to your destination.
But they were in snow.
You don't think skiers sweat?
I don't think they sweat as much.
Well, he would have sweat a lot more because he was running. When you're skiing, all you're just doing is letting the gravity and the skis take you there. But he's running through snow.
But that's the whole thing with Tom Cruise, though. He runs in all of his
No, I
movies.
understand that. That's not the point. The point that he was not sweating. He took off his helmet. His hair is perfect. He's not even glistening. It was just smooth. I was like, but you would be, and then he would also be like little out
What
of
you're
breath.
what you're saying is that the level of sweatness compared to the original movie doesn't match.
Damn right.
Well.
Well, reality also. Never mind. But anyway, let's move on. But for those listening and watching, you know I'm right.
Well, maybe the crew person for the water bottle was not
Why
available.
do that when you can just put snow on your face and let it melt?
Maybe it was fake snow.
Right, maybe. That's the only real gripe I had. Besides the volleyball Iceman, we had in beginning a little callback of the original bike and bomber jacket,
And aviator sunglasses.
sunglasses. Right. I just wish he kept the bike just for vintage sake.
What do you mean? You don't think that was the same bike?
Not during the rest of the movie. He had another one. It was a black one.
Oh, I
That
thought it was the same bike through the whole
no,
movie
no. In the beginning was their same bike from the original with some stickers added. But after that, when he went
with Penny and all that.
right, it was a different
Oh,
bike. He had a different bomber jacket. The bomber jacket wasn't the same. Like the original bike and bomber jacket was only there for the first scene
hmm,
when he's going to test pilot the stealth bomber.
okay.
Is this movie
You didn't
worth?
ask me the part thing that I didn't like.
Oh, I'm sorry. What? Why I thought you'd be talking about that Penny.
Oh, I mean, you brought it up, but it wasn't something that wholeheartedly didn't
Okay,
like.
so what didn't you like?
The fact that the original brought a lot of it was music that I have liked, have loved ever since, and has been with me, and that I like to play again and everything else. This one, the music in it, I didn't felt like was as memorable as the original.
I can see that, and I kind of appreciate that they didn't do that. The reason why I say that is because in the original, it felt like they were forcing it down our throats. Because the music, like we just saw the original on Netflix. Now it's not available. You can watch it somewhere else. The music was so loud. It was like overpowering the scene. In my opinion, it took away from the scene. Take my breath away was. I mean, I'm glad they didn't rehash that. Danger Zone was kind of cool. It was more like a calling
Mhm.
card,
Yeah.
and in respect to the
But
original.
not every song. No, that would have
No,
been really
right,
too
and they
much.
played some classics there, which
Yeah,
was good.
yeah.
It was more about the story and the music, where in The original, it almost was like a little more about the music than the story, a little bit. So that's the only thing.
Yeah,
I would like to have seen maybe more of the past characters. Maybe a bit too much, but they could have been
but they
something
but
with
they
a
did
higher rank.
they did show snippets from the original movies.
No, but
So,
I'm talking about of present day, not then.
oh, like Meg
Well, they
Ryan.
show highlights, yeah.
But
Well,
evidently it made it sound like she was gone.
no, she passed away too.
Yeah.
No, it would just have been nice to maybe another character from the original in a
Well,
higher
we
rank
know what
somewhere else.
Kelly McGillis looks like now, so
Well,
it's like,
I'm glad she's not in it anyway. I mean, let's be honest. That relationship in the first one was not needed.
no, it
It
was
was
more
not
like a filler, more like it was just passing
right.
time.
Here though, with Penny, it did feel
Real.
justified that why she was there.
Mhm.
Again, it is him finally growing up.
And it's not about another notch on his collar kind of
Right.
attitude. She even made it known that, you're back doesn't mean I'm just gonna go right into the sack with you.
Did you like the new generation?
Yes, I did, and especially that they mixed it in with the girl. I thought that was very smart. She held her own. She wasn't one of those girls that was going in there to be butchy or to be, a girly girl or no, and everything. No, she was there to hold her own, to be a very positive.
I'm glad they didn't follow or keep following homosexual overtones. I am so glad of that. I mean, it
Well,
was
I think it would have been hard to kind of play that off nowadays.
well, I
Where
mean,
it wouldn't be so as evident right out the bat.
was there some tongue in cheek there? But yeah, it was just better. I mean, this script was so much better. There was definitely thought
Mhm.
behind it.
Now did you also recognize the fact that the whole bar scene, which each new pilot was coming in, and how Maverick was sort of hiding from them to or just viewing of how
Yeah,
they're
but I don't think
and how that kinda compares to the bar scene in the original movie?
I was getting that vibe, but then it shifted because in the original, he's hitting on his boss, if you will, or instructor. Here is not, well, he gets disrespected. And
Mhm.
of course, when he's being introduced to them, it's the whole tie in to the original as well,
Yeah,
where they
yeah.
all were like, oh my God, that's the guy. And they put their heads down.
And that's what happened in the original where
Well, it was just him that put their head down,
yeah,
or not the
but
whole
they all
class.
yeah.
The only person that was not happy was Rooster. Well, we had a chip on our shoulder, and rightly so. We understand why, and we understand why Maverick did what he did, and it made sense. And he was
Yeah.
looking out for him. He actually saved his life. I can safely say that we both agree that it's worth the watch.
Oh, yeah, definitely worth a watch. And I think even though we talked to people who had seen it and basically stated the same thing in the sense of like you don't have to know the original to understand
Or
this one.
appreciate.
Yeah, or appreciate this one. Already knowing that yes, it was worth the watch.
What about buy this on Blu-ray?
Actually, I probably would. The action scenes with them flying and I wanna see those again
I
because
want to see the behind the scenes
because quite frankly, there was a lot more of that in this movie than there was in the original.
and no CGI.
Yeah.
They all learned how to fly.
Mhm.
And to put cameras in there secretly that you couldn't see it. But I think I did see it. I could be wrong what I thought were the cameras, but they could have been like GoPros in a way,
Mhm.
but not GoPros. Yeah, I would definitely buy it on Blu-ray myself. Yeah. Now, will I be interested in a Top Gun 3?
I
I
think
don't
that would be
know.
pushing it
I don't
because
know.
it's like
I don't know if we can wait
what
another 36 years for that.
well, yeah, and even though Tom Cruise looks great, he's aging very well.
Mhm.
Is that I mean,
Well, I don't think it'll be him. I think it'll be the next generation. He could be just like the liaison, what have you. But I think his character is now laid to rest in a way that his story has been told. This movie has broken records up the yin yang for Memorial Day release. I just find it shocking that people hate on Tom Cruise. People
For
do.
what?
Maybe because of his faith or belief in
Oh, the side
Scientology
Scientology.
and sometimes him being outspoken on certain topics or that the rumor of his sexuality, whatever. It doesn't matter. The man makes great movies. There
Mhm.
are more successful movies than there are failures under his
Yeah, I mean,
resume.
his track record is pretty good.
Yeah, the only thing that they were saying that bombed of somewhat recent time is The Mummy. Oh, Jack Reacher, that was, I think that was miscast. Even though I know he wanted to do it, but that was miscast. It could have been someone else. The Mission Impossibles, every one of
Mhm.
them is amazing.
What was the one movie where he's blonde and he
Oh, Collateral Damage,
that one
Killer.
was a good movie.
He's a bad guy in that one.
Yeah,
I mean, he is good. Come on, he was in Tropical Thunder or
yeah.
Tropic Thunder. He was hilarious in that.
Mhm.
And I would love to see more of that. I would love to see him do a comedy like that. It's like something that's so
Far from his norm.
right. The list can go on and on and on. He's
Well,
just
I think a
amazing.
lot of it is either you're a lover of Tom Cruise or you're a hater of Tom Cruise. I don't,
But I
you
say the
know.
thing is, I don't understand the hate because the movies he done or
Mhm.
does is very well thought out, very well executed. Live, Die, Repeat, Edge of Darkness. That's a great movie. And I mean, that's original. I hope they make a sequel of that. I will watch that.
Yeah, I mean, he's very talented, but I think a lot of people personal issues of
Hmm.
an actor, and they use that to influence how they perceive the movie, and it shouldn't be that way. You need to look at the movie for itself.
I mean, sometimes it is hard to do that, especially like do certain crazy things like slap someone on stage or take a shit on someone's bed. But I see what you're saying. Let us know what you think. Comment below. What was your favorite scene? What was your favorite moment? Do you have a scene that you didn't like or didn't care for?
Do you think we were on point with what we thought or what we said?
Sure. Let us know. Until next time, will be the next time. I am Angel.
I'm Kimberly.
Love you.
Love you too.